What's up, YouTube? Hey, it's KCS Games here with a hand trap kind of video for my competitive corner. And I wanted to talk to you guys about today's metagame and what exactly is this mess you're seeing on the screen. So it's a little bit different. I wanted to do this on Dueling Book instead of in real life, not because I don't own all the cards, although some of them I don't, but the point is I just felt like it would be easier for this video. So anyway, moving on. I think the best hand traps for the format are Ghost Bell, Infinite Impermanence, along with an Effect Veiler, Ash and Skullmeister kind of in the same slot. So I guess this would be like my top 5, but like I'm cheating because 2 are in the same slots. Lancia and Droll, and then Gamma and Nibiru. Okay, so these are like the most impactful hand traps in my opinion, and I want to go through as to why I think that is. So for Ghost Bell, we're going to look at the most popular decks at the moment. So we're talking Drytron and Zodiac, Tri-Brigade. There's Dragon Link. There is Invoke somewhere in the meta. It's in a weird spot at the moment. So like Invoke Shaddoll. I know there's tons of other decks that are not coming to mind, but Ghost Bell is very impactful against the first 2 that I mentioned. So this can actually stop any of the Drytron effects from actually summoning themselves from the graveyard to the field. And, well, let's actually look up Meteonis here real quick to see if it's a hard once per turn. It is. You can only use the effect once per turn. So you can actually stop their Meteonis with Bell when they try to revive it back, which is why it's not Ben 10, it's Beta 10. This is why this card's very important, and I know some people in the, I guess, pro category, some of them were not on Eta 10 right now, and I think that's incorrect. I think this card's very helpful, but yeah, you'll start to see some people even playing 2 of Meteonis, Drytron, the ritual spell. But anyway, my point is Bell works against that deck, and it works against Tri-Brigade, mainly because of the Revolt. You can stop that. You can stop Ice Dragon's Prison. That was the other big one that they're playing. So I don't know how popular Ice Dragon Prison is going to be going forward because of Drytron. It's there because you can remove the Ben 10 when they have Viner, so it like makes sense. But I don't know. It's a weird category, but I just wanted to go with the #1 card that I thought was good, and that is Ghost Bell. I have seen tons of lists come out of this weekend where they're not even running it, or they're only side decking it, and I think it's a mistake. Oh, Dinosaur was the other one. So while it can't stop stuff like Misk, it can stop stuff like, is Pillacost? One sec. This may actually be very bad against Dino. That is a cost. Okay, so yeah, you probably don't have a whole lot of things to hit with Dino, so I guess it depends on your locals. If you're planning for a big event, Dinosaur is not huge, although I want to say the Scrap Dino is like the most popular right now, and well, the Scrap Chimera, this one right here. Sorry if my keyboard's a little bit loud. My mic is right next to it, so I apologize for that. But anyway, Scrap Chimera. This one would target the graveyard, so I think it's smart to at least main deck 2 copies of this card. So granted, it doesn't hit every matchup, but it hits so many of them. Oh, and Prank Kids, that was another one. Bell can stop some of the Prank Kids stuff. It can stop like Doodle Doo from adding back. That's a big one. So yeah, anyway, moving on. Infinite Impermanence / Veiler. So why are these two in the same slot? Because they're essentially the same card, except one is better for most decks, and then one is very specific to another. So Infinite Impermanence is first because it should be in all the decks that are not Drytron. If you're playing Drytron, this one's way worth it for you because it's a level 1 that allows you to go into move beta if you need it. So this card, if you don't know what it is, I will be doing a profile when mine get here. I have a few things for Drytron coming up. I have a completely budget build, and then I have something that's like on the cheaper side and weird and wacky that you can do with it. And then I have the deck that's kind of what everyone's playing, but my take on it. So anyway, comment down below if you want to see, which Drytron build, budget, wacky, or standard. So we'll just go. You're gonna get all three most likely, but just tell me which one you'd like to see first. But anyway, moving on. If you don't know what this card does, you're kind of sleeping on the meta, and this video is probably not for you. But just in case, I'll just go through it. So when it's Xyz summoned, you can send one Drytron card from your deck to the graveyard. That's like one of the main parts. So it sends Gamma, which is the one that revives another. So it makes them allowed to do, they just do a lot of stuff. Now, the silly part of this card is when you ritual summon, you can detach a material from this card. So keep in mind the materials on it are going to be 2K if you're using Drytrons. So you're going to be able to summon anything that's 2K or less because of the Drytron ritual spell. So with that, this card detaching for that, it's not once per turn. So now if you're using cards like Veiler for it, then obviously it's only going to be a once per turn. But and then if you actually use the big Drytron, here we go. This is guy Draconids. This one's it's starting to see play basically because of Mu Beta, and this is the last effect. Quick effect: you can detach a material from this card, negate the activation. When they activate a spell or trap, there we go. You can detach material and negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the card. So it is useful, and this card's a really good card to just like end on. So there's plays for sure. I'll definitely go through more once I get all the cards in. I like to do in-person profiles, as you guys have probably picked up. But if you want to see more, interact with me in the comments. Let me know. If you want to see more Dueling Book instead, I'm going to start streaming eventually, and when I do, it'll probably be on Dueling Book. I can't really stream my locals, but I can also do local tournaments if you guys want to see those, a little bit more in-person videos. I'll have to ask my opponents, of course, if they want to be on camera and stuff, but I'll see. If you guys want it, let me know down below. Anyway, moving forward. So yeah, Infinite Impermanence should be the better one because, well, especially against Drytron, they have Herald of Orange Light, which I didn't put any specific hand traps in here that would go based off an archetype. I guess the Heralds technically don't have to go off an archetype, but they felt like it, so that's why I didn't put them in here. There's orange, green, and purple. Purple stops traps, green stops spells, orange stops monsters. So they do run this in the EVA to help them and do anything. This isn't a Drytron deck profile, I swear. Anyway, but this is the reason why Veiler's not as good as Imperm against them. And Imperm can actually stop them if you stop the Diviner. There we go. This is the new card. It's going to be very important. This is their normal summon, and if you stop either this or Mu Beta, sometimes they just stop. They pass their turn. So Imperm is very strong against them. Also, if you can make a turn 1 Apollousa, do it. So good against them. It's really hard for them to out unless they drew something like their own Imperm if they're on Imperm. But like I said, they're mainly on Effect Veiler. Or if they drew Droplets. There we go. Sorry. So yeah, that's the only ways they're really outing that. Now, moving on to this little pair. So Ash, I think, is like the 3rd best card. Obviously, it's the most generic. Every deck adds a card, like almost, or they special summon from deck. Like, so it's a live card pretty much all the time. However, this one isn't, but in our meta it is. So the reason why these two share the same slot, even though they don't directly have the same effect, is because a lot of the cards that are doing the searching / specialing / doing stuff is in the graveyard from when they're sent. So Skullmeister can actually stop them. So I really like this card, this format, if your deck can handle that many hand traps. It is worth side decking. I like it against Dinosaur. I like it against, Prank Kids, Tri Brigade, sort of against Drytron. You can stop Ben 10, which could be really good. But again, it's really dangerous to be running. And I mean, obviously you have to run, Droll, which I'll get to here in a second. But it's dangerous to run certain monster hand traps because of the orange light. So anyway, I think I covered that pretty well. We'll just move on. So these are usually just side decks. Last format, we saw Droll and Lockbird being mained because of Dragon, and you'll notice I didn't say Dragon for top decks this format. There's only been a few times where Dragon's actually done anything, and it's because it's a brand new format. This is like the first weekend we can use these new cards, and Drytron's just so good, but Drytron's like the only deck that Droll is like super hitting right now. Tri Brigade is giving Drytron a run for its money, and yes, Tri Brigade can add multiple cards per turn, depending if they're using Desires / Tenki before they're using their main search off of Nerval. Here. I've profiled this 1,000 times, so you guys should see, or you should know them by picture at least. But yeah, Nerval would add, and so it does have its applications, so I'm not saying you shouldn't main deck this, but there's a lot of decks this format. I'm going to give you guys, if I can spell, an amazement profile, and I cannot wait for these 2 cards to come out. It'll be really cool. But yeah, anyway, these cards are going up, and that's what I was going to talk about here in a minute. But anyway, back to what I'm supposed to be talking about. I mean, technically he's a hand trap, but going off of the Droll and Lockbird slot, this is technically main deckable, so I guess I'll move it over here. But it's not going to hit your everyday deck. So that's why it's so low on my hand trap scale. It is very, very high impact. I'm not going to say that it's not, but I think for these cards, where they weren't doing hardly anything last format, to now be the front runners is saying something for this format. So anyway, so that's it about Droll. We all know Droll. Lancia, it's like the best side deck card. The reason why you side it, it's the same reason why I'm siding Droll instead of maining it. If you feel like Dinosaur, I mean, and even then with Scrap Combo, they can still do stuff now. But with Lancia, they're going to be able to get stopped pretty easily. And like it hits pretty much every deck now, even Drytron a little bit because of what's its face? Eva? Yeah, there we go. So they're using this card in multiples now, usually like 2. But even if they're on 1, it doesn't matter. The point is they're using it earlier in the combo now, so that if you Lancia them, they won't be able to get instant access to like hand traps, so they won't be able to get the orange light online unless they hard drew it. So that's kind of cool. So it's a niche aspect if you're main decking Lancia. I definitely don't suggest siding it in for the matchup because they're not doing a whole lot of banishing. But anyway, something interesting from the PPG tournament this weekend was Gamma being included in Drytron's side deck. I don't know how to feel about that. Unfortunately, the video that was recorded wasn't in English, but I watched the stream or most of it. And anyway, Gamma being used strictly on your opponent's turn is really good for Drytron, because if you can just make them have a soft board, the deck just this is why if it turns into like a pure heavy back row format with like Altergeist, Trap Tricks, because of Amazement and Eldritch and stuff, if this pushes that, I really think, now obviously this card doesn't do anything to back row, but my point is I really think Drytron's going to be the best deck, because Drytron is just so good against the back row decks because it can just keep throwing things into them. And unless they have a hard stun card, you're going to just be able to do whatever you want if you're playing Drytron. And the worst part is Droll and Lockbird isn't good unless you're decking OTK, because they can just kill you because they have their graveyard. They're kind of like Dragon Rollers in that sense. So kind of insane. But Gamma has started to see a little bit more play. I expect Gamma and stuff like Shaddoll Invoked, and anything that starts off with a whole lot of spells, a lot of searching, a lot of things where, you know, Valor, or, well, I guess Valor's bad example, Ash, Bell, Meister, Droll, those kinds of things, if they stop you, Gamma is going to be really good. So like Dino should be on Gamma again, because they're doing their combos. Well, they're not doing them based off of the spells, but they're not, you know, committing to the board first. Of course, there's Archosaur, which this is the best time to drop Lancia, in my opinion, still, is when they summon the Archosaur to destroy and grab Pill. You go ahead and let everything else through, and then you hit them with this, and that makes Gamma completely dead. But anyway, that's enough for Gamma. Nibiru, the reason why he's so low on this little tier list or whatever is because while certain decks do expand really quickly and they summon a lot of decks are ready for Nibiru inherently. So outside of your, I guess it's really good against the Zoo stuff, because if they're using it to have to make Zeus, they're usually summoning 5 times in that turn. But the key word here is like if they have to do that. And in Tri-Brigade Zoo, they don't always have to make a Zeus. So do you really want Nibiru in your hand for when they're doing everything else normally and not overextending? That's the problem with the card. So most of the other combo decks like Drytron, I guess it could affect Drytron a little bit, but I'm pretty sure they can just have Orange Light in hand by that time pretty inherently through the combos. So that's kind of where I think the card's like going to phase out a little bit. And on top of that, I don't think it's main deckable at all at this point because of the popular back row decks now. They're not summoning 5 times, and so this card would just be completely dead outside of a deck that can use it for its attributes. So Shaddoll Invoked, they could use it because, you know, it's a light. So anyway, moving on. Phantasme, it's interesting, right? Because some of the decks don't even link summon. Others link summon a lot. So it's like, I don't know where to put it. This isn't a real hand trap in my eyes. So for Tri-Brigade, yeah, it's going to draw you cards, but you have to draw into your Valor. In this card, it clashes with Imperm. I don't even think you should be playing this card right now, to be honest. But if you're on something like Drytron, it's okay because you're not. It's the same reason as Gamma. So it's just another consistency card, and it's able to put another body on the field. So these are kind of like the okay cards for Drytron, but I don't know. It's a big yikes for me. This format, it just seems not worth it, unless you're trying to find a Droll or a Lancia. Like, that's it. Those are the bare minimums. Maybe Nibiru, but even then, it's weird. It's rough. Moving on. So these two cards are probably going to start picking up. Tri-Brigade can main this. That's pretty cool. But that's why the ritual spell's starting to see play at 2 more. But like I said, Bell can stop the recursion of it. There's lots of lines of play that Drytron has to respect if they're going to play it correctly. Otherwise, you're going to see a long, grindy match, which kind of does favor them. I've noticed that the current builds of Tri-Brigade are not built to go long. They're built to burst. And that's where Drytron would be favored in that matchup if they're not built correctly to counter them. So, but yeah, anyway, DD Crow, you're not hitting anything other than Benton or the ritual spell, period. Against them, against Dinosaur, you can chain it to Misk, banish Misk. They shouldn't be able to continue. So it's got its niche plays. It's not super good against. Actually, it's really bad against Invoked, or not Invoked. It's decent against Invoked. It's bad against. Why can't I think? I keep wanting to say Drytron again. It's on the mind. Tri-Brigade. There we go. It's not very good against Tri-Brigade because of the ability to bring them back. It can mess up their numbers a little bit. But usually cards like DD Crow, you have to have them in tandem with another hand trap. So that's what these 3 cards had the biggest issue. I guess technically Ash too. These cards all have the issue that by themselves they didn't used to just end a turn. This format, they can just end a turn, or they're just so relevant that you have to be on them. So anyway, and then Cycle Reader, this is definitely just for Drytron. If you're playing something that's playing like a way to send, so like Beatrice or so like they might do it in the mirror match. Beatrice can send the Orcus Trap, Crescendo, and you can banish it from the graveyard to search this in the mirror match, and that's really, really good. That can be a super blowout. But yeah, it banishes up to 2 light monsters, and it's a good card against Drytron, but that's about it. So it may be too niche because we're in a pretty wide format thanks to all the trap decks and just the way the top tier is built. It's really going to be interesting to see where everything falls out. But yeah. And then I wanted to talk about Ghost Ogre real quick. This card was seeing niche play last format, and then now like no one's talking about it. But it somewhat can mess up Drytron and the Tri-Brigade. There's also other niche matchups still, like it can somewhat mess up Dragon if you see a Dragon, but I think we're going to start seeing less and less of Dragon unless someone comes out of the woodworks with like some insane build. But yeah, Ghost Ogre against Mubeta, which I've already showed it. It's the Xyz for Drytron. If you pop that, it can mess things up for them, depending on what they use to make it. So if you pop it when they had Eva, then you're not really doing anything, and they have a fresh Drytron in the grave. If they use 2 Drytrons, then they kind of, they're like in a weird spot unless they already have a card to send in hand. So, like I said, niche applications. Do I think it's great? No. I probably wouldn't main deck or side deck this card over any of these other options before it. So, but I did just want to give it a little attention. Against Tri-Brigade, you can definitely hit the Tri-Brigade monsters when they're banishing. And this sometimes can stop their link summoning. I've seen it stop an access code play before. So that person was about to die, and they were randomly having Ghost Ogre in their deck, and they hit the card that summoned, and they weren't able to access code anymore. because they banished 3. They were going to do it and then go for game, and they couldn't. So, like I said, niche applications. I don't know how good it is, but we'll see as the format moves on. I don't want to make this too long. But anyway, Contact C and Retaliating C. They're like the same. They just work differently for other matchups. So Retaliating C is really good against Drytron, and Contact C is really good against Tri-Brigade. So if you catch Tri-Brigade banishing, once they summon, they are locked into using Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast materials for further link summoning. If you give them Contact C, they cannot do anything else for the rest of the turn. They literally cannot use, because they have to use this card now as material, and they can't because it's an insect. So if your worst matchup is Tri-Brigade and you need to focus on that, you might want to try this card out. At least a 2 of, 3 of maybe. In recent sighting, I've tried 2 of this and 2 of this when I play rogue decks, because this can help me against, like I said, Drytron. It can help you against Shaddoll Invoked. It helps in like random matchups. Just anytime that they're going to summon a monster off of a spell card, you can chain this, and then it's like a macrocosmos for everything. So this gets rid of their 1 to, this is another reason why I guess Drytron should be on 2 ritual spells. I personally am only just using 1. I know it's a little riskier, but I don't think I should respect these cards just yet, at least locally, until someone is actually showing me they have this, they have DD Crow, that kind of thing, because of consistency reasons. You don't want to ever draw 2 ritual spells in your hand. You usually want to search them and gain hand economy for like nightmare effects and stuff. So anyway, moving on. But yeah, Retaliating C. When it's destroyed, you can search this, ironically. So if there is a matchup where both of them are good, wow. Also, this is strangely really good against Prank Kids. They don't, unless they have something random that they can go into, like, I don't know. There's a guy at my locals that uses Verte, Anaconda, and Dragoon, like, in literally everything, including Prank Kids. So that I wouldn't use this against him, knowing that. But against most Prank Kids, you can just slap this on their board, and they can't do anything with it. So it's kind of cool. Moonlit Chill, Reaper, or Winter Cherries, Spooky Dogwood. No one's really talking about these. This one might be good in the Drytron Mirror match, hitting Mu Beta or hitting Herald of the Arclight. This card right here might actually come up. I'm going to test it. We'll see what happens, but yeah, that's the only one that I'm seeing right now. This card is not maxi. I wish it was as good. You can catch a lot of people like Drytron, for example. It is decent against that deck. Tri-Brigade, not so much. Any deck where they have to commit, this card could be really good because it'll give you like a lot of life points, especially with Drytron being 2,000 attack. They have to make a board, in my opinion, especially against the mirror. So this is like another mirror match card. But yeah, anyway, Moonlit Chill. I don't know how to feel about it. It's like, well, let's read through it, okay? If your opponent special summons a monster or monsters, face up except during the damage step, you can discard this card, then target one of those face-up monsters. So it already does something bad at targets, which really none of these other cards do, outside of Valor and Imperm. And then you negate its effects until the end of this turn. Okay, so this has the same applications as Valor against Drytron, or Imperm and Valor, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. Let's just see this. So I haven't used this card like ever. So you negate its effects until the end of the turn. Also, if that face-up monster leaves the field, its controller takes damage equal to the original attack. So this could be good. You know what? It's like the third option. I think Veiler's more clean, but like this, it's weird because it doesn't hit like Alistair. Not that you should be Veilering or imperming Alistair, but maybe, I don't know. They usually always have the invocation. It just depends on your hand, I guess. But anyway, it's a weird card. It has niche applications. Miradora is interesting as well. It's kind of like in this slot too. It gives you a body, which I like, but I don't like how specific it is. So you can't negate it, which is nice. So against Drytron, doesn't really matter. If your opponent special summons a monster or monsters with 2,000 or more attack from the extra deck, so Mu Beta, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned from the hand, you can target one face-up opponent's monster that was special summoned from the extra deck. Neither player can activate that monster's effects while this monster is face-up on the field. So, this is good against Drytron. It's weird, but it's good. And it gives you that body, and this is what I was talking about. These two cards are very interesting. The fact that they're dragons, pseudo hand traps, both level 7. I thought this one would be fire or something, but for some reason it's light. Whatever, we'll take it. It's a light to pitch with Chaos Space if we're playing Dragon Link. But yeah, this one is another one that's anti-Drytron slash... well, it hits a lot of stuff, but I think it's more of a Monarch card in my opinion. It'd be awesome if they gave it the Monarch stats. But anyway, you can tribute summon this card by attributing one effect monster during your opponent's main phase. If a card or cards is added from the main deck to their hand, except by drawing it, and this card is in your hand, you can, immediately after this effect resolves, tribute summon this card. If this card is normal or special summoned from the hand, you can make your opponent banish the top cards of their deck face down equal to the number of cards in their hand. Then they shuffle their entire hand into their deck. And if you do, they add the cards banished with this effect. Basically just like disturbance strategy, if you know what that is. It just shuffles them back in. It's weird because like Drytron like hand sculpts, right? They pretty much just any card in their deck that's going to be able to be added to their hand. Tri-Brigade's kind of the same. They run a lot different, like they run traps, they run other things that can, that could prevent them from seeing that. But the point is, whatever they get, you just take it away from them. And, well, Drytron not so much, but there's versions of Tri-Brigade, like in the Bird Up build, where they have tons of bricks in the main deck. And if you're banishing the top 8 and fixing their hand, or, well, I guess destructing their hand, they could draw those bricks now. So it's really interesting. I don't think the card's great. And fun fact that there's no way to really stop it with Droll or Lancia, because the way it's worded, you banish first and then you add from banished, so it's not even from deck anymore. But yeah, these two cards are interesting. I think Konami's on a trend here. I'm wondering what the next one will be. But right now they're just too specific, but I think they're trying to give us a little something. There's a reason why these are secrets, in my opinion. So anyway, moving on. So yeah, that's it for the hand trap part. I just wanted to talk real quick about some kaijus. I think these are good in this format. We're not summoning too much. Those 8 negate boards, whatever, they're usually like, 3 of them are on an Appaloosa, things like that. You can just kaiju them, get it off the field. Dragoon being an issue, you can actually just take care of with the kaiju, which is nice. And Drytrons get Lava Golem. They can't actually use kaijus, but Lava Golem. And I guess more specifically against those soft boards where they only have 1-2 negates. Kind of sucks because you tribute spheres against dragons, which again isn't a standard matchup anymore, but in case it exists. But against Drytron, this could be really, against Tri-Brigade, this could be really spicy for Drytron because they don't really normal summon. They don't have to normal summon. And if you give them a lava golem, you should be able to out the lava golem firstly and push through. But secondly, the point is they probably ended on Zeus or a Trident and then another card's on the field. Like, it's perfect because it's not more. You have to play through traps against Tri-Brigade, not their monsters. But Lava Golem's interesting against it. And then on top of that, most of the time you see Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, you're going to see a Verte Anaconda right next to it. Just in case you guys don't know what it is, somehow. It's right here. So, yeah, usually these two are on the field at the same time, and that gives you enough for Lava Golem. So that's a nice little cheap out if you're playing Drytron, if you can't afford Droplets. This is like $5 for the common, somewhere around there, $4 or $5. I was going to talk about these cards a little bit, but the video is kind of getting long. Comment down below if you like these videos, and I will do a second one covering all of these cards and where I think they are in the meta. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you watched all the way through, I wanted to tell you guys about something that I mentioned in an earlier video, and that is my tins that are coming. So in September, if I hit 100 subscribers, I plan on doing some sort of giveaway relating to the tins. So once I get a actual set like list of what's in there, I will come up with an idea based off of you subscribers, and I will have some sort of poll to see what you guys would like, and then we'll have like 1 or 2 or 3 maybe, depending on, you know, how the cases go and stuff, of winners. So definitely subscribe, like this video, and hit the notification bell so you can see these kinds of videos from me. I am working every single day to get better at doing this for you guys and for myself. I really enjoy doing it. So, but anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.